Karen locked flooded neighbors in during the storm. 4 minutes later, I launched my rescue jet ski. The sky was a bruised purple, swollen with rage, as Hurricane Lila tore through our sleepy coastal town of Karen's Cove. Rain lashed the earth like 1,000 whips, and the wind howled with a fury that rattled my bones. I stood at my window, gripping the sill, watching the world outside dissolve into chaos. Water rose fast, swallowing streets, cars, and dreams. But what haunted me wasn't the storm, it was the scream I'd heard 10 minutes ago, sharp and desperate, from the house next door. My name's Jake Russo, a 32-year-old mechanic with a knack for fixing things and a heart too soft for my own good. I'd lived in Karen's Cove my whole life, a place where neighbors waved, shared beers, and left their doors unlocked. Except for one neighbor, Karen Hensley. She was the kind of woman who'd call the cops on kids for chalk drawings on the sidewalk, who'd scream at you for parking an inch over her property line. Her house, a squat, gray fortress, stood like a monument to her spite. And tonight, she'd done something unthinkable. It started with that scream. I'd been checking my generator when it pierced the storm's roar. A woman's voice, raw with terror, coming from the Nguyen family's home. Min and Lynn Nguyen, my neighbors for a decade, were good people. Min ran the local noodle shop. Lynn taught yoga at the community center. Their kids, Tommy and Ellie, were the kind who'd bring you cookies just because. I'd bolted to my porch, flashlight in hand, and saw Karen's silhouette in her window, her face a mask of cold indifference. Then I heard the click of a lock, not hers, but the Nguyen's front gate. Karen had a spare key to their gate. Min had given it to her years ago, back when he thought kindness could soften her edges. It hadn't, and now, as floodwaters surged, she'd used that key to lock them in. I didn't know why, maybe a grudge, maybe madness, but I knew they were trapped. Their house sat lower than mine, and water was already creeping up their porch. In minutes, it'd be inside. I grabbed my phone, dialed 911. The line buzzed, then died. Cell towers were down, and the power had flickered out an hour ago. My heart pounded like a jackhammer. I couldn't wait for help that wasn't coming. I had to act. My garage held my pride and joy. A jet ski I'd rebuilt from scrap, a sleek beast I'd nicknamed Lola. She was my escape on sunny days, slicing through waves like a knife through silk. Tonight, she'd be a lifeline. I hauled open the garage door, rain soaking me to the bone, and dragged Lola to the edge of my driveway, where the street had become a river. The Nguyen's house was 50 yards away, but it might as well have been a mile. Debris branches, trash cans, a kid's bike swirled in the current. One wrong move, and Lola would be toast. I was about to kickstart her when a figure stumbled toward me through the storm. It was Toby Granger, the town's resident oddball, a 60-something retiree who lived in a shack by the pier. He wore a yellow raincoat 3 sizes too big, his gray hair plastered to his skull. "Jake," he yelled, voice barely cutting through the wind. "You going for the Nguyen's?" "How'd you know?" I shouted back, wrestling Lola into position. "Saw Karen lock their gate. I was fishing by the canal when I heard Lynn scream. That woman's got a heart blacker than this sky." I froze. Toby was a loner. Half the town thought he was nuts, but he had no reason to lie. "You sure it was her?" "Swear on my mama's grave." She stood there, watching him beg, then clicked that padlock shut. I tried to get closer, but the water's too deep for my old legs. My stomach churned. Karen's cruelty wasn't new, but this was a whole new level of vile. "Stay here, Toby. I'm going in." He grabbed my arm, his grip surprisingly strong. "Wait, I got something for you." He fumbled in his coat and pulled out a rusty crowbar. "For the gate. You'll need it." I took it, nodding. "Thanks, man. Keep an eye on my place." Toby saluted, rain streaming down his face. "Godspeed, kid." I straddled Lola, the engine roaring to life, a defiant snarl against the storm. For minutes had passed since I'd heard the scream. For minutes too long. I gunned it, the jet ski slicing through the floodwater, spray stinging my eyes. The world blurred, rain, wind, fear, but I kept my focus on the Nguyen's house. Their porch was underwater now, the front door barely visible. I prayed they were upstairs, safe for a few more minutes. Halfway there, a chunk of plywood spun toward me, carried by the current. I swerved, nearly tipping, and cursed under my breath. The water was deeper than I'd thought, chest-high in spots. If Lola stalled, I'd be swimming. I gritted my teeth and pushed on, the crowbar tucked under my arm like a knight's lance. When I reached their gate, my worst fears came true. The padlock gleamed, new and cruel, sealing the wrought iron bars. Beyond it, the Nguyen's windows glowed faintly candles, maybe. I killed Lola's engine, tied her to a mailbox post, and waded to the gate, water tugging at my thighs. The lock was heavy-duty, no match for my fists. I wedged the crowbar into the chain and leaned in, muscles burning. It didn't budge. "Come on," I growled, throwing my weight against it. A crack split the air, not the lock, but the crowbar bending. Panic clawed at me. I was running out of time. Then I heard it. A child's voice, faint but clear. "Help, please." It was Ellie, her face pressed against an upstairs window. Her eyes were wide, her small hands banging on the glass. My heart shattered. I waved, shouting, "I'm here, Ellie. Hold on." I attacked the lock again, desperation fueling me. Finally, with a snap that sent me staggering, the chain broke. I yanked the gate open and slogged to the porch, where water lapped at the door. I pounded on it. "Min, Lin, it's Jake." The door creaked open, revealing Min, his face pale, his clothes soaked. "Jake, thank God. The water's coming in fast. Lin's upstairs with the kids, but Tommy's got a fever. He's too weak to move." I pushed past him, water sloshing around my ankles. "We're getting you out. Now." The house was a wreck, furniture floating, photos curling in the flood. I took the stairs 2 at a time, finding Lin in the kids' room, cradling Tommy. He was 8, small for his age, his face flushed with fever. Ellie clung to her mom, sobbing. Lin's eyes met mine, filled with a mix of relief and terror. "Jake, how?" "No time," I said. "I've got a jet ski. We'll take Tommy first, then come back for the rest." Lin nodded, handing me Tommy. He was light, too light, his breathing shallow. I carried him downstairs, Min and Lin following with Ellie. The water was knee-deep now, cold and relentless. Outside, Lola bobbed, still tethered. I strapped Tommy to my chest with a bungee cord from my pocket, praying it'd hold. "Min, you and Lin stay here. I'll be back in 10. Min grabbed my shoulder. "Be careful, Jake." I nodded, climbing onto Lola. The engine sputtered, then roared. Tommy whimpered against me, and I whispered, "Hang on, buddy. We're gonna make it." The ride back was hell. The water had risen, and debris was everywhere: a stop sign, a lawn chair, even a freaking refrigerator door. I dodged what I could, my arms aching from holding Tommy and steering. When we reached my house, Toby was waiting, his raincoat flapping like a cape. "Got a sick one?" he asked, helping me lift Tommy off. "Yeah, take him inside, keep him warm. I'm going back." Toby's eyes softened. "You're a good man, Jake." I didn't feel good. I felt scared, angry, helpless. But I turned Lola around and headed back into the storm. That's when I saw her, Karen, standing on her porch, a flashlight in hand. She wasn't screaming or begging for help. She was watching, her face unreadable, as if the chaos around her was just another Tuesday. Rage boiled in me. She'd done this. She'd locked them in, left them to drown. I wanted to confront her, to demand why, but Ellie's face flashed in my mind. I had to keep going. Back at the Nguyen's, the water was waist-deep. Min carried Ellie, Lin clung to his arm. I took Ellie first, strapping her to me like I had Tommy. She was shaking, her teeth chattering. "Where's my dad?" she whispered. "He's coming, sweetheart. I promise." The second trip was worse. The storm had intensified, lightning cracking so close I smelled ozone. Ellie screamed with every jolt, and I fought to keep Lola steady. When we reached my house, Toby took her, wrapping her in a blanket. I didn't stop to talk. I turned back for Min and Lin. But as I approached their house, something felt wrong. The candles in the windows were gone. The house was dark, too dark. My stomach dropped. I tied Lola and waded to the door, calling their names. No answer. I kicked the door open, water rushing past me. Inside, the first floor was submerged, the stairs slick with algae. I climbed, shouting, "Min, Lin." Silence. Then, a groan from the bedroom. I burst in, finding Min slumped against the wall, Lin beside him. A bookshelf had fallen, pinning Min's leg. Blood mixed with the water pooling around them. Lin was crying, trying to lift the shelf. "It fell when we went to get blankets," she said. "He can't move." I dropped to my knees, shoving the shelf with everything I had. It budged, just enough for Min to slide free. His leg was mangled, but he gritted his teeth, leaning on me. "Let's go," he rasped. Getting them to Lola was a nightmare. The water was chest deep, and Min could barely walk. Lynn supported his other side, her strength defying her small frame. We strapped them both to the jet ski, Min in front, Lynn behind, and I stood, steering from the back. The weight slowed us, and Lola groaned under the strain. Lightning flashed, illuminating Karen's house. She was still there, watching. I swore I saw her smile. The final trip was a blur of exhaustion and fear. When we reached my house, Toby had the kids in my living room, wrapped in every blanket I owned. Tommy's fever was worse, but Ellie was calming him, singing softly. Min collapsed on the couch, Lynn tending his leg. I sank to the floor, soaked and shaking, the adrenaline fading. "You did it, Jake," Toby said, clapping my shoulder. "You saved him." I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a man who'd almost been too late. And I couldn't shake the image of Karen's face, her cold, unyielding stare. Why had she done it? What kind of person locks their neighbors in to die? The storm raged on, but my house was a fortress, high enough to stay dry. We waited, listening to the wind, praying for dawn. That's when Toby dropped his bombshell. "There's something you ought to know," he said, his voice low. "Karen ain't just mean. She's got a secret." I frowned. "What kind?" He leaned in, eyes glinting. "Few years back, I was fixin' my boat near her place. Saw her burying something in her backyard. Looked like a box, heavy. She was crying, talking to herself. Said something about never forgiving Min. I didn't think much of it then, but now, my blood ran cold. Min, sitting nearby, overheard. His face went ashen. "What's he talking about, Min?" I asked. He shook his head, voice barely a whisper. "I don't know, I swear." But his eyes told a different story. There was guilt there, buried deep. I didn't press him not then. The kids needed us, and the night wasn't over. The storm didn't let up, its fury a relentless reminder that we weren't safe yet. My living room was a makeshift refuge, crowded with Nguyen's, Toby, and the ghosts of what we'd just survived. Min's leg was propped on a chair, wrapped in a towel Lynn had torn into strips. Tommy's fever burned hotter, his small body trembling despite the blankets. Ellie sat beside him, clutching his hand, her eyes older than any 9-year-old should be. Toby paced, muttering about the tide, while I stared out the window, Karen's house a shadowy blot against the lightning. Toby's words about Karen's secret gnawed at me. A box, buried in her backyard. Tears and a vow to never forgive Min. It didn't add up, but Min's guilty look told me there was more to this than a neighborly feud. I wanted answers, but the storm trapped us, and then Gwen's survival came first. "Jake," Lynn whispered, pulling me aside. "Tommy needs medicine. His fever's spiking. We had some at home, but..." Her voice cracked, the weight of their flooded house crushing her. I nodded, my jaw tight. "I'll go back." Her eyes widened. "No, it's too dangerous. The water's higher, and I've got Lola. I'll be quick." I didn't tell her I was also going to Karen's. If she had answers, I'd drag them out of her. Toby overheard, grabbing his crowbar. "I'm coming with ya. You'll need backup." I hesitated. Toby was old, wiry, but his grit was undeniable. "Fine, but stay close." We suited up raincoats, boots, flashlights, and headed to the garage. Lola gleamed under the flickering lantern, ready for another fight. The water outside was higher, lapping at my porch. I tied a rope to Lola's frame, looping it around my waist in case we capsized. Toby climbed behind me, his crowbar tucked into his coat. "Let's make this quick, kid," he said. The jet ski roared, cutting through the flood like a blade. The Nguyen house loomed, half submerged, its windows black. I tied Lola to the gatepost and waded in, Toby behind me. The water was chest deep, colder than before, tugging like it wanted to claim us. Inside, the house was a graveyard of memories, books bloated, photos ruined, a stuffed bear floating face down. I found the medicine cabinet upstairs, miraculously dry, and grabbed Tommy's pills. Toby kept watch, his flashlight sweeping the dark. "Got it," I said, tucking the bottle into my jacket. "Let's..." A crash cut me off. Downstairs, something heavy had fallen. Toby's light froze on the stairwell. "That ain't the storm," he whispered. We crept down, water sloshing around us. In the living room, a figure stood, drenched and shaking. It wasn't Min or Lynn. It was a teenage girl, maybe 16, her dark hair plastered to her face. She held a soaked backpack, her eyes wild with fear. "Who are you?" I demanded, my heart racing. She flinched, clutching the bag. "2M, Mia. I was hiding." "Hiding?" Toby growled. "From what?" She glanced at the door, then back at us. "Karen. She knows I'm here." My blood ran cold. "What's Karen got to do with you?" Mia's voice trembled. "She's my aunt. I ran away from home last week. My mom, Karen's sister, kicked me out. I came here, thought Karen would help, but she swallowed hard. She locked me in her basement. Said I was a disgrace. When the storm hit, I broke out, came here to find help. The Nguyen's didn't know I was in their attic." I stared, pieces clicking into place. Karen's cruelty wasn't just about Min. It was personal, tangled in family secrets. "Why'd she lock the Nguyen's in?" I asked. Mia's eyes dropped. "I heard her on the phone. She blamed Min for something from years ago. Something bad. She said he ruined her life." Toby cursed under his breath. I grabbed Mia's arm, gentler than I felt. "You're coming with us. We'll sort this out." We slogged back to Lola, Mia's sandwiched between us. The ride to my house was brutal, the storm throwing everything it had. Mia clung to me, her sobs lost in the wind. When we burst into my living room, Lynn gasped at the sight of her. "Who's this?" "Long story," I said, handing her Tommy's medicine. "She needs to dry off." While Lynn tended to Mia, I pulled Min aside. His face was gray, his legs swollen. "Min, what happened between you and Karen?" "Don't lie." He sighed, pain etching his features. 15 years ago, before I met Lynn, I dated Karen's sister, Ellen, Mia's mom. It was brief, messy. Ellen was troubled. I broke it off, and Karen blamed me when Ellen spiraled. She said I broke her sister's heart, that I owed them. I didn't know Ellen was pregnant with Mia. Karen never forgave me. I clenched my fists. "So she tried to kill you? Your family?" Min shook his head. "I didn't know she was this far gone. I'm sorry, Jake." Sorry didn't cut it, but I let it go. Tommy needed his medicine, and Mia needed safety. I gave Lynn the pills, and she dosed Tommy, his breathing easing slightly. Mia sat by the fire, wrapped in a blanket, her eyes haunted. Toby muttered about karma, but I couldn't shake the need for answers. Karen was still out there, watching. Dawn broke, gray and weak, the storm finally easing. The water hadn't receded, but the worst was over. I decided it was time. "Toby, stay here. I'm going to Karen's." Mia stood, her voice firm. "I'm coming. She's my aunt. I need to face her." I didn't argue. We took Lola, the ride short but tense. Karen's house was untouched by the flood, perched on a slight rise. Her porch light burned, mocking the chaos. I knocked hard. "Karen, open up." The door creaked open, revealing Karen. She was dry, composed, her gray hair pulled tight. Her eyes flicked to Mia, then me, unreadable. "What do you want, Jake?" "You know damn well," I snapped. "Why'd you lock the Nguyen's in? Why'd you trap Mia?" Karen's lips thinned. "They deserved it. Min destroyed my sister. Mia's a runaway, ungrateful." "Enough," Mia shouted, stepping forward. "You locked me in a basement. You left people to die? What's wrong with you?" Karen's facade cracked, her voice rising. "You don't understand. Min took everything from Ellen, her future, her health. She died last year, alone, because of him. And you, Mia, you're just like her, reckless, selfish." I stepped between them. Ellen's death wasn't Min's fault. And locking people in during a hurricane? That's on you. Karen laughed, bitter and sharp. "You think you're a hero, Jake? You don't know half of it." "Then tell me," I said, my voice low. She hesitated, then turned, walking inside. We followed, wary. Her living room was sterile, like a museum of resentment. She pointed to a photo on the mantel, her and Ellen, young and smiling. Ellen was my world. When Min left her, she fell apart. I found her diary after she died. She wrote about a box, something she and Min hid. My stomach twisted. "The box Toby saw you bury?" Karen's eyes narrowed. "He's a liar. I never buried anything. But Ellen did. In the Nguyen's backyard, before they bought the place. She told me last year, on her deathbed. Said it was proof Min wasn't who he seemed." "What's in it?" Mia asked, her voice small. Karen shrugged. "I don't know. But I wanted Min to suffer, to lose everything, like Ellen did. So I locked their gate. Let the storm do the rest." I stared, sickened. Karen wasn't just cruel, she was unhinged. Her grief twisted into vengeance. "You're done, Karen. The police will hear about this." She smirked. "Good luck. No proof, no crime. Mia's eyes blazed. I'm proof. I'll tell them everything. Karen's smirk faltered, but she said nothing. We left, the weight of her words heavy. Back at my house, I told Min about the box. His face crumpled. Ellen was unstable. She talked about hiding something money, maybe, from a job we did together. I thought it was a fantasy. If it's real, it's in our yard. The police arrived that afternoon, the water low enough for their boats. They arrested Karen, Mia's testimony sealing her fate. Min gave them permission to dig up his yard. What they found wasn't money. It was a metal box, rusted shut, containing letters, dozens of them, written by Ellen to Min, confessing her love, her pain, and a secret that broke us all. Ellen had been pregnant, not with Mia, but with Min's child, years before Mia was born. She'd miscarried, alone, and never told him. The letters blamed Min, not for leaving, but for existing, for being the man she couldn't have. Karen had read them, her hatred festering until it consumed her. Min wept, Lynn holding him, their family fractured by a past they couldn't change. Tommy's fever broke, but then Gwen's home was gone, their lives upended. Mia stayed with them, a new sister to Ellie, her courage a light in the dark. I rebuilt Lola, my hand steady but my heart heavy. Karen's trial came and went, her sentence long but hollow. Justice didn't erase the pain. The twist wasn't the box or Mia's arrival. It was Min's silence, his guilt carried for years, unaware of the child he'd lost. It was Karen's love for her sister, warped into a monster. And it was me, thinking I could fix everything with a jet ski and a crowbar, only to learn some breaks run too deep. As I stood on my porch, watching the town rebuild, I wondered where the line was between right and wrong, love and hate, hero and fool. Karen's cove would heal, but the scars would stay, a reminder that storms don't just come from the sky. What do you think? Was Karen's vengeance justified, or was she a villain born of grief? Did Min owe her answers, or was his silence his own punishment? Share your thoughts. There's no right or wrong, just the messy truth of being human.